It's funny how a lie can sound like love when you're desperate enough to believe it. Or maybe it's tragic, depending on how you look at it. Either way, I knew from the first night I kissed him that I was never going to be more than a secret he tucked between the pages of his life. Still, I stayed. Because sometimes, being a secret is better than not being anything at all. Ethan wasn't the kind of guy who could blend into the background. He carried that impossible confidence, the kind that made every room bend toward him. Quarterback, golden boy, future everyone's hero. And me? I was Liam, the quiet one, the guy who worked double shifts at the diner, who knew how to keep his head down and his heart hidden. Yet somehow, our lives collided on that late summer night in Ohio, when the town smelled of gasoline and fried food, and the whole world felt too small for both of us. He kissed me first. That was the cruel part. His lips tasted like beer and regret, and his hand was trembling when it held the back of my neck like I was something too precious to lose. But then he pulled away, muttering something about this being wrong, about how no one could know. His words carved into me sharper than any blade. The weeks that followed were a cycle of heaven and hell. He'd show up at the diner at midnight, sliding into my booth with that crooked grin that undid me every time. We'd drive out past the cornfields, where no headlights reached, where he'd take my hand and whisper my name like a prayer. And then the morning came, and I'd walk past him in the hallway of his father's church, pretending we were strangers, pretending we weren't already tangled in a love that was burning us both alive. I hated myself for agreeing to it, for letting him keep me tucked away in the shadows of his fear. But love makes you weak in ways you can't anticipate. I convinced myself that maybe someday he'd choose me, maybe someday the weight of hiding would crush him, and he'd step into the light with me at his side. That someday came crashing sooner than either of us expected. It was a Friday night football game, the kind of event this small town worshipped. The bleachers were packed, the lights buzzing overhead. I sat in the crowd, pretending I wasn't searching for his face every time he ran across the field. He was brilliant, like always cheers roaring for him like he was the only star in the sky. And then, in the middle of it all, he looked up at me. Just for a second. Just long enough for my stomach to twist and for me to know. He felt it too. That impossible need. That longing that no rule, no sermon, no fear could erase. After the game, he cornered me behind the bleachers. His face was flushed, his body still radiating heat from the win, but his eyes, they were terrified. "Liam," he whispered, voice raw. "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep hiding you. But if I choose you, God, if I choose you, I lose everything. My father, the team, the future everyone's planned for me." I should have told him to walk away. I should have saved us both from the heartbreak I knew was coming. But I couldn't. Instead, I pressed my forehead to his and whispered, "Then lose it. Lose everything. Just don't lose me." He kissed me again, harder this time, desperate, reckless. And for the first time, I believed he might actually mean it. But love doesn't unfold neatly. Secrets have a way of clawing their way into the light whether you're ready or not. The following Sunday, his father preached about sin from the pulpit, his words dripping with fire and condemnation. I sat in the back pew, my stomach twisting, because every syllable felt like it was aimed straight at us. And then Ethan walked in late, disheveled, his eyes locked on mine across the room. He didn't sit. He didn't hide. He just stood there in front of everyone and said, "Dad, I'm done lying." The entire church seemed to stop breathing. And then he said it. He said my name. He said he loved me, out loud, for the whole town to hear. The silence was deafening. His father's face went pale, then red, fury etched in every line. I waited for Ethan to crumble, for him to take it back. But he didn't. His shoulders were shaking, tears glinting in his eyes, but he stood his ground. For me, for us, the fallout was brutal. His father disowned him that night. The team turned their backs. Friends we'd grown up with looked at us like strangers. It felt like the world had cracked open beneath our feet, and I kept waiting for Ethan to regret it, to decide I wasn't worth the wreckage. But every time doubt crept in, he reached for my hand, grounding me in ways I'd never known before. We left town a month later, cramming our lives into the back seat of my beat-up Chevy. We didn't have much, just some clothes, some money scraped together, and a love that had survived fire. That first night in our tiny apartment in Chicago, with the city lights glowing outside the window, He pulled me into his arms and whispered, "I'm not sorry, not for any of it, because I chose you, and I'll keep choosing you, no matter what it costs." I believed him then. I believe him still. Some nights, when the world feels too heavy and we're still piecing our lives together one shift, one bill at a time, I think back to that first kiss. The one that tasted like beer and regret. The one that should have been nothing more than a mistake. And I realize it wasn't the beginning of hiding. It was the beginning of everything. Because love, real love, doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for the world to be ready. It just demands to exist, no matter how impossible it seems. And somehow, against all odds, we chose to let it. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.